Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. Today we are taking a look at the Couronne Battlefleet set, which was kindly sent to me by Warcradle Studios for review. This is a medium-sized box, and I of course removed the shrink wrap ahead of time just so I don't get any awkward glares in there. And with a medium-sized box, I mean it is deep enough to have 4 plastic sprues in there and then some resin parts. Upon opening the box you will find this large bag of resin parts. That typically is where you'll find the flagship and all of its different configurations. There are also 2 small baggies in there with 9 SRS bases in each of them, so that's a total of 18, and that is a big deal because you can launch a lot of SRSs with this set. You also get 2 naval bases, medium-sized ones, along with 1 flight stem sprue to put them on there. And in addition to that, there are 4 plastic sprues. Like I said, 2 of them are the frontline sprues for the Alliance, the French, and they have been updated. I will be going over those in a bit as well. And then there are 2 different Levant support sort of style sprues, where you can find all the different skimmers on there and the submarines for the French. If you are unsure on what to build with these, make sure you check out the channel for the Alliance or Bat Deep Dive, because I actually go over what you can build for each sprue and what it brings to the table for the French. Let's start a review off with the different resin parts that you find in here. This is quite a hefty bag with lots of components and lots of different sprues in there as well. The main part, of course, being the hull of the Couronne ship, which has these nice sort of scratches in there, along with some indentations to glue the rest of your parts on. And after having put it together, it went together absolutely beautifully. It is a 1-part mold, so the only bit of cleaning up you have to do is a bit the flashing on the side, but just going over that with your knife will take care of that. This means that there are no mold lines running across the model itself, which is great because that preserves all that lovely detail, and I do love the skull design it has on the prow here. Aside from that, it comes with heavy broadsides, heavy rolling broadsides, and you can see that on the model as well. It's got quite a lot of those. On top of the ship there needs to be the decking. Now this is the large front part of it, but don't glue that one down first. The central part actually has a few pegs on there on the back which slide into those holes, and that will form the anchor point for all the rest of it. All you really need to do is clip it off at that point, and then make sure that you slice off all of the bits of resin with your craft knife so that it lines up flush, and after you've done that you can attach the back parts to it. This also basically locks in with the central part, and there you go, that should be a simple assembly. There was quite a bit of flashing on this part of the sprue on mine as well, which is also fairly easy to remove, but it will require a bit more cleanup than I'm used to with these models. And then the back part of the top of the bridge is also found on there. The 2 side bits of the bridge can be glued together. They are perfectly symmetrical, and they essentially just slot in on that back part that I've just mentioned, like that. And it also has a few nubs on there to guide you along the way so that you can assemble it rather easily. That means there is a small gap in the front of the bridge where you can slide in one of 2 fronts as seen here. This is one of them. It has these tiny little holes in there where the nubs go in, but if you just slice those off, the front ones of the side bits, you can easily slide this one onto the front. This one has the heat lance on there, but you can also assemble it with an upgrade that is the statue of La Dame Liberté, and most of those parts can be found on here. You can have the main body of the statue, in which he is holding a Solex generator in one hand on the actual tablet, and then the other arm can be swung around either in a vertical or horizontal position, and that one has a heat lance on there to go with that Solex generator. The statue itself does need a bit of cleanup in terms of mold lines, but the gaps for gluing are cleverly hidden, and it does have a bit of sprue grate around the helmet, so you have to make sure that you clip them off with some nice sharp clippers in order to not damage those rather thin spikes. The flagship itself comes with the weapons that can be found on here. It is the new and updated frontline sprue, and the Couronne comes armed with 3 rocket batteries, which can actually now be found on that frontline sprue. That is a new addition, a minor tweak that was made to them. There was no increase, however, in the number of torpedo turrets you find on there, so you will definitely not want to lose one of those parts, because it happened to me once when clipping it off. It also still comes with 3 of the heat lances as well, and and gun batteries, although you probably will want to use those gun batteries on the cruisers that can be found on here. If you want to, you can also upgrade them with heavy magnetic bombards, because this sprue really does come jam-packed with different gun batteries as well. One small example of these, they're quite easy to magnetize. These are the Écuyère Mass 1 frigates that you can build with this set, and this is an example that you can build with the Mass 2 cruisers. These are my Charlemagne cruisers, and yeah, a bit of magnetization goes a long way, and if you're magnetizing the torpedo turrets, you will actually be able to transport these ships rather easily, because well, they pretty much are at the surface level already, and magnetized transport is something I always recommend to any new player. I'm just showing some examples here of ships that you can build with these sprues, as the build guide isn't the main focus of this review. It very much is all about that flagship, the Couronne. If you do want to see those, again, I refer to my video in the Alliance or Bat Deep Dive, and if you want to keep up to date with all things Dystopian Wars and you like this kind of content, make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the channel for any future videos. Now when it comes to weapons, you are very much spoiled with this Levant sprue, because you can have up to 5 heat lances on there as well, which is a lot of them. And these are incredibly easy to build ships as well, because they come with this large hull part, along with parts to build a submarine, which can be armed in one of two ways, either with a magnetic bombard or with a heat lance itself as a hunter submarine. And I haven't quite gotten around to painting them yet, but I have assembled them. I suppose that's a start, and this is an example where it is armed with a magnetic bombard. They are gorgeous little things, but there's quite a lot on my painting desk right now, so I still haven't gotten around to them. In terms of the Mass 2 Levant ships that you can build with them, this is one such example. This is the Volière class cruiser, and this is something that not a lot of people know, but you can actually adjust the length of your flight stems as well with some of the parts that are included on those. They are tucked away in the corners of those flight stem sprues, and you always can adjust them. Here we see another build variant, the Furieux, which is all about boarding actions and dropping off angry French legionnaires in the enemy lines, and be really good up close and personal, which is why I've gone for the full Heatlands build on mine as shown here. Of course, all these weapons are magnetized, as I always recommend that you do with these kinds of kits. Back to the flagship now. This is a set that could be quite handy to reinforce your one-player starter set, because, well, you have some carrier support, and in that one-player starter set you get the Oriflamme, and as you can see, the new Couronne is quite a fair bit larger than that heavy battlecruiser that came in that starter set. So if you like to get your hands on a nice big ship, this is the way to do it with the French. It's not quite as wide as some of the other ships, like the Victory class for instance. It retains that sleek profile, but it is nice and long. And this is it after a bit of assembly. I've not glued down the bridge on it yet. That is for easy reachability during painting, but it slots in nicely as it is. And in order to sort of show you what I was talking about when I was talking about sliding in the different parts, this is that small gap. And as long as you just cut off the 2 nubs at the front, you can actually slide it in without the need to magnetize things even. You can just replace that one with the statue if you so desire, but if you really wanted to, I suppose this is a zone where you could install a magnet, but to be honest, it clamps into place so strongly that I don't really think there will be any need for it. But you know, if you want to be better safe than sorry, you always can magnetize it. In terms of other magnetizations, there are a few weapon hardpoints where you could install a magnet. However, you need to be very careful when drilling these out, because you don't have a lot of surface area to drill into. Just make sure that you don't drill through it, because yeah, that would ruin some of the detail on the side. Now in terms of rules, why would you want to get a Couronne Grand Carrier? I think this is going to be an absolute staple in many Alliance lists, because you get the advantage of having a carrier with quite a bit of capacity at SRS capacity 10 and 6 in crippled, especially 6 in crippled is still quite high. And on top of that, it comes with the always important Fortunes of War ability, which is one that can be found in most competitive lists, because it is quite important to sort of take down your opponent's valor effects, and that is something that was missing a bit in the Alliance roster, especially for a force that is as fragile as the French. It is quite important to shut down your opposing valor effects as to not to take too much damage too early in the game. Speaking of fragility though, the Couronne Grand Carrier isn't exactly the toughest of ships. With only armor 7 and citadel 15, it is not that hard to cripple, especially when you consider that it only takes 6 hull points to do so. That means a single hit of 30 hits is going to cripple this ship, so you definitely want to position this beast somewhere safe so your opponent doesn't get an open shot to do so. The ship also comes with a very unique upgrade, La Dame Liberté. It is an upgrade that gives her the statue in the front, and when you give her this upgrade, she gains both a Solex generator, which was the one held in the tablet, and the inspirational rule. And she of course still retains the heat lance, because that basically becomes the arm of the statue. Now that does mean that the role of the ship changes quite a bit. You do want to be quite aggressive with that ship, because if you take the heat lance and the Solex generator, it's well worth considering upgrading the 2 rocket batteries that are aimed to the front with these heat lance sets for another 14 points. But if you add all of that together, you're starting to come dangerously close to 370 points, which is a lot for a ship with this sort of fragility. But it will put the fear of God into any opponent that faces it if you manage to get up close and personal with this ship. This is definitely not a bad upgrade per se, but do expect to lose your Fortunes of War ability quite quickly to any opponent that knows what he's doing when he sees that one coming. Mind you, if you are taking this upgrade, he will need to actually sink the ship in its totality, because it comes with protected gun crews, meaning those heat lances will be firing at full effect even if your opponent does manage to cripple it. It's just a bit of a downside of course because of that Fortunes of War ability. And there we have it, my review of the Couronne Battlefleet set. If you liked the video, make sure you do all the YouTubey things, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel and all that. And I do hope to see you in the next video when that time comes around. Until then, bye!